The proposal by Donald Trump to transform Canada into the 51st state of the United States was, perhaps, a reflection of his unique approach to governance and diplomacy. This surprising suggestion raises numerous questions about the practical and cultural ramifications of such a significant political shift. If Canada were to agree to join the United States and abandon its ties to the Commonwealth, the consequences would be profound, affecting not only Canada, but also the entire fabric of American federalism. Canada, upon joining the Union, would emerge as a formidable entity within the United States. With a population surpassing 38 million and a diverse, resource-rich landscape, Canada would bring significant economic advantages. Its wealth, derived from vast natural resources such as oil, minerals, and timber, would enhance the economic power of the United States. In comparison to California, which boasts a population of about 41 million and is often seen as an economic powerhouse, Canada would exceed it in both size and resource availability. This demographic shift would mean that Canada would not only contribute to the economic vitality of the U.S., but also alter the balance of political power. The addition of such a populous and wealthy region would necessitate a re-evaluation of representation in Congress, as Canadian interests would need to be represented alongside those of existing states. One of the most significant cultural impacts of Canada becoming part of the United States would be the introduction of bilingualism on a national scale. Canada is officially a bilingual country, recognizing both English and French as official languages. If Canada were to join the U.S., the federal government would be compelled to accommodate linguistic diversity more formally. French could potentially become a second official language in the U.S., leading to a ripple effect throughout various states. States with historical French-speaking populations, such as Louisiana, Maine, and parts of the Midwest, might advocate for bilingual policies. This could lead to a broader acceptance of linguistic pluralism across the nation, reflecting the diverse heritage of many American citizens whose ancestors spoke French. The incorporation of Canada into the United States would also challenge the existing structure of American federalism. Canadian federalism, which emphasizes the autonomy of provinces and territories, would need to be reconciled with the American model. This could result in an interesting dynamic where both Canadian and American states strive to protect their own sovereignty and cultural identities. For instance, provinces like Quebec, known for its strong sense of identity and distinct culture, might resist assimilation into the broader U.S. framework. This could lead to a situation where states within the Union, inspired by Canada, begin to assert their own rights and identities more vigorously. The U.S. might see a rise in regionalism, as states seek to maintain their unique characteristics in the face of a more homogenizing national narrative. The political landscape of the United States would undoubtedly shift with the addition of Canada. The presence of a province with a different political culture could influence national policies significantly. Canadian values, particularly regarding healthcare, environmental protection, and social welfare, might reshape American political discourse. Furthermore, the political parties in the U.S. would need to adapt to the new demographic realities. As Canadians tend to lean more liberal on various issues compared to their American counterparts, the Democratic Party might find new opportunities for growth in the North, while the Republican Party may face challenges in appealing to a more progressive electorate. Leaving the Commonwealth would also have ramifications for Canada's international relationships. Canada has historically maintained strong ties with other Commonwealth nations, and its departure could weaken those connections. On the global stage, Canada's alignment with the U.S. could shift the balance of power, as it would likely adopt a more American-centric foreign policy. This new relationship would also compel the U.S. to reconsider its stance in international forums. As Canada has often played a moderating role in global discussions, its absence from the Commonwealth could lead to a more unilateral approach by the U.S. in international relations. The integration of Canadian culture into American society would not come without challenges. While both nations share many values and lifestyle similarities, there are distinct cultural differences that could lead to friction. The Canadian emphasis on multiculturalism and social harmony might clash with the more individualistic and sometimes divisive nature of American politics. Additionally, the Canadian identity, which often celebrates diversity and inclusivity, could face challenges in a U.S. context where such values are sometimes contested. The potential for cultural clashes could lead to social tensions, as both Canadians and Americans navigate this new reality. The suggestion that Canada could become the 51st state of the United States is a provocative one, and perhaps it was not fully considered in its entirety. If Canada were to relinquish its sovereignty and merge with the United States, the ramifications would be profound and multifaceted, affecting not just the two nations but the entire geopolitical landscape. First and foremost, Canada would emerge as a formidable economic player within the United States. With a population surpassing 41 million, Canada boasts vast natural resources, a well-educated workforce, and a high standard of living. This would position Canada not just as a state but as a powerhouse within the Federation. The economic contributions of Canada could potentially overshadow those of states like California, traditionally seen as the economic engine of the U.S. Imagine the implications of integrating Canadian industries, such as energy, technology, and manufacturing, into the larger U.S. economy. The synergies created by a unified market could lead to increased innovation and economic growth. The elimination of trade barriers would allow for more efficient distribution of goods, benefiting consumers on both sides of the border. However, this economic integration would not come without challenges. The U.S. would need to reconcile Canadian policies on healthcare, environmental regulations, and labor laws with its own, potentially leading to contentious negotiations. Beyond economics, the cultural implications of such a union would be equally significant. Canada is known for its multiculturalism and bilingualism, with English and French as official languages. If Canada were to join the U.S., this linguistic diversity would necessitate a re-evaluation of American federalism. Could French become a second official language at the federal level? This question could spark debates in states with significant French-speaking populations, such as Louisiana and parts of New England. States like New York, Vermont, and Maine might even push for bilingual policies, recognizing the historical ties and contributions of French-speaking communities, many of whom trace their ancestry back to Canada. The political landscape would also shift dramatically. Canada has a history of progressive policies on social issues, healthcare, and environmental protections. Integrating these policies into the U.S. system could lead to friction, particularly in states with more conservative leanings. Moreover, Canada's unique political identity would challenge the current structure of American federalism. The presence of a state that prioritizes social welfare, environmental sustainability, and inclusivity could prompt other states to reevaluate their own policies. This could lead to a broader cultural and political shift within the United States, potentially fostering a more progressive landscape. The question of sovereignty would remain a contentious issue. Canada has a strong national identity, rooted in its history, culture, and traditions. The decision to join the U.S. would not merely be a matter of political alignment. It would be about the loss of a distinct national identity. Would Canadians be willing to give up their flag, their anthem, and their unique cultural heritage? The emotional and psychological ramifications of such a decision could lead to significant unrest, both within Canada and among those in the U.S. who may view the merger as a threat to their own identities. On a global stage, the merger would alter the balance of power in North America. The United States would gain even more influence in international affairs, but this could also raise concerns among other nations. Canada has traditionally positioned itself as a mediator in global conflicts and a champion of human rights. Would these values be compromised in the pursuit of American interests? Moreover, how would this affect relationships with other countries, particularly those in the Commonwealth? The departure of Canada from the Commonwealth would send shockwaves through international relations, prompting other nations to reassess their alliances and partnerships. In conclusion, while the idea of Canada becoming the 51st state may initially seem far-fetched, the implications of such a union warrant thorough exploration. From economic dynamics to cultural considerations, political repercussions, and geopolitical impacts, the consequences would be far-reaching and complex. The hypothetical scenario raises fundamental questions about identity, sovereignty, and the nature of federalism itself. As we contemplate the future of North America, it is crucial to consider not just the economic benefits but also the cultural, political, and social challenges that such a union would entail. In a world where borders are increasingly blurred and cultural exchanges are commonplace, the notion of merging two distinct nations invites us to reflect on what it means to belong and how we define our identities in an ever-evolving landscape.